Hello Facebook friends, it's Sean Bishop of Bishop Instruments and Bows coming to you live today from Windsor, and I'm here with my trusty companion Mop, who's was very animated a minute ago, but now he's just relaxing. Right, today we're talking about the greatest 20th century bow maker, Eugene Nicolas Sartory. Like most of the late 19th century, early 20th century bow makers, he was also born in Mirecourt in France, and then moved to Paris at he learnt with his father first of all, although we don't know of his father's own personal work. He then moved to Paris, aged about 15, 16, worked with Charles Picard for 2 years, with Lamy for I think sort of 2 years, and then set up aged 18 on his own. So from about 1889 he started with his own shop, and then from about 1900, during this time he was making bows for other people, and I'm going to get to a little bit more about what to look for on a Sartory bow in a minute. Just get a bit of the history out of the way. He always had people helping him work from 1900 onwards. So there were people roughing out the sticks, and then from the after the First World War, he then employed some other bow makers to help him, like Morisot Père, Jules Fétique, and Louis Gillet. Now, we can quickly talk about Sartory, about the actual bow itself. So this bow here, we're looking at a bow made in about 1925 and 1920, 1925 with original lapping. So on a Sartory, if you want to find original lapping, you will see the blue stripy silk. So this is silk lapping, so it's quite light. So bows from that period didn't always have silver. Silk was quite common. So this bow I think weighs about 57. If you change that with silver, it would bring it to 61 grams. Okay, so the heads of Sartory bows, this is a typical example of Sartory's usual work that we see from about 1910 onwards, when his style is completely fixed now. I always think it's a bit like a question mark. So when you look at if you see what I mean, it just sort of curves back that way. Yeah, that way. Also, to tell you a little about his bow making, what made him one of the greatest was his attention to detail. People were forging his bows, people were making copies, and there was a great court case in the 1920s, and he states to the judge about his bow making activities, and that's where we recently found out he was making 25 bows a week. So every orchestra in the world you go to these days, I've got a Sartory, that person's got a Sartory. I kept wondering how on earth could that be possible, but it was possible because he had all these people making bows for him, but he kept his attention to detail so high. So the quality of Sartory's work is extremely high. He's one of the bow makers that, as dealers, we can almost purchase without playing. I don't need to really try, because you always know they're quite strong sticks. He had 2 stamps, but his second stamp was the usual one we all know, the small E Sartory et Paris. Often it is stamped underneath the lapping as well, so you might find that there. That's one way of finding out if your bow is a Sartory. It helps. Also, later on his work from about 1930 onwards gets heavier in style, so a bit chunkier, lots more octagonal bows. That was when Gillet was working for him mainly. And the sticks become lighter. So the early sticks, I like personally the Sartory bows from about 1900 to 1910, where they're a little bit dark sticks, and they remind me a little bit of Lamy. There's a bit more sort of finesse, but after that period they become quite strong. And like I said, they're a bow that all players want. For interest's sake, there's a very small margin when you're selling a Sartory bow, because everybody knows the price of these things, so very hard to get them cheap, very hard to make any profit on them. So I can assure you, anyone going to a shop to buy one, whatever the price is now, nobody's getting rich on a Sartory bow, except maybe when Sartory was making 25 a week himself. Okay, I will post a picture of this bow. It's not mine, it's a customer's I sold to a few years ago. He left it with me just recently. Of course, now in lockdown, I've had to give it to him some other time with the original lapping, but I'll put photos below this post. If you have any questions, please ask me, and I'll try and answer them on this post. Anyway, have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.